If you want to consistently sell more cars in today's market, you need more than enthusiasm and a decent personality. You need a structure. The modern buyer is better informed, more skeptical, and usually further along in the shopping process before they ever walk into the dealership. That means the old approach of just greeting someone, showing them a car, throwing numbers at them, and hoping they buy is not enough anymore. Strong salespeople understand that a successful deal follows a process, and when that process is handled correctly, the customer feels guided instead of pressured. In this video, I want to walk through the 10 steps to a sale, the modern road to the sale, and show you not only what each step is, but why it matters, how it works in the real world, and what can go wrong when it's skipped or handled poorly. The first step is the meet and greet. This is not just saying hello. This is the first impression that shapes everything that follows. In today's market, most customers are not pure walk-ins anymore. They've often been online, looked at your inventory, checked prices, compared stores, maybe even submitted a lead or clicked on a specific vehicle. In other words, they are warm leads by the time they arrive. That means your job is not to ambush them. Your job is to welcome them professionally and make them feel like they came to the right place. I've seen salespeople kill deals in the first 30 seconds by walking up too aggressively and acting like every customer on the lot needs to be closed immediately. Then I've seen seasoned professionals do the exact opposite. They greet the customer calmly, introduce themselves, ask one or two smart opening questions, and immediately lower resistance. A customer who feels respected in the first minute is much more likely to stay open through the rest of the process. The second step is initial discovery, and this is where you begin learning what is really driving the customer's interest. Too many salespeople stay on the surface here. They ask, "So what are you looking for?" and accept the first vague answer they get. That is lazy selling. Real discovery means finding out the purpose of the vehicle, how they're going to use it, how much they drive, what matters most to them, and what they like or dislike about what they're driving now. If a customer says they want an SUV, that tells you almost nothing. Do they want room for 3 kids and sports gear? Do they need all-wheel drive because they travel in bad weather? Are they commuting 20,000 miles a year and care more about comfort and fuel economy than appearance? What do they value in their current vehicle, and what are they tired of putting up with? One of the best examples of great discovery I ever saw was a salesperson who learned that a customer was driving a long daily commute and was exhausted by road noise and poor seat comfort. Instead of selling features in a generic way, he later tied everything back to comfort, ride quality, and reduced fatigue. That customer felt understood, and that changes the entire tone of the deal. The third step is the vehicle walk around. This is where you stop being a tour guide and start becoming a translator. The customer has already shown interest in a vehicle, so the walk-around should not be a random dump of every feature on the sticker. It should be focused on the features that matter to that particular buyer. If the customer cares about safety, you highlight the driver assist systems, structural strength, and visibility. If they care about style, you talk about the design, wheels, trim level, and overall presence. If they care about performance, you focus on powertrain, handling, and drive modes. The walk-around works when it makes the vehicle feel personally relevant. I've watched weak salespeople ramble through every feature they can remember, and you can see the customer mentally checking out. Then I've seen pros say something like, "Earlier you mentioned your daughter will also be using the vehicle, so let me show you why families love the safety systems on this model." That's a completely different level of selling. Now, the customer isn't just hearing facts, they're hearing reasons. The fourth step is the test drive, and this is where ownership starts to become real. A proper test drive is not just letting the customer circle the block and come back. It should be intentional. You want the route and the conversation to help the customer imagine living with the vehicle. If they care about ride quality, get them on a road where they can feel the suspension and cabin quietness. If they care about handling, choose a route with turns and lane changes. If they care about convenience, demonstrate the climate controls, infotainment, driver assistance features, and visibility in real conditions. The test drive is emotional. This is where logic starts turning into attachment. I remember a customer who was hesitant until she drove the vehicle onto a highway and realized how much quieter and more stable it felt than the one she had been driving for years. Her entire attitude changed in that moment. She stopped evaluating the car as an option and started picturing it as hers. That's the power of a strong test drive. The fifth step is post-test drive discovery, and this is a step a lot of salespeople rush past even though it is critical. Once the customer gets out of the car, you need to confirm whether the vehicle itself is the right fit before you move into the money. This is also the time to start gathering the financial details that will shape the deal. You want to learn about trade-in details, how much cash they may want to put down, what kind of monthly payment range they had in mind, and whether there are any early financial concerns that need to be addressed. This step matters because it bridges emotion and reality. The customer may love the car, but now you need to find out whether the transaction can be structured in a way that works. A good salesperson here is still listening, still asking questions, and still guiding. A poor salesperson assumes the excitement from the test drive means the deal is automatically solid, then gets blindsided later when the numbers don't line up with the customer's expectations. The sixth step is service introduction, and this is one of the most underrated steps in the entire process. While paperwork is being prepared, or while the deal is moving through the next stage, introducing the customer to the service department helps build long-term confidence and retention. This is where the customer starts to feel that they are not just buying a vehicle, they are entering into a relationship with the dealership. Showing them the service facilities, explaining the hours, talking about scheduling, maintenance convenience, and the dealership support after the sale all reduce future anxiety. A lot of salespeople think this step is fluff. It isn't. Customers want to know what happens after they own the car. They want to know where they'll go for maintenance, whether the place feels professional, and whether the dealership will still care once they've taken delivery. Service introduction helps answer those questions before they turn into silent hesitation. The seventh step is the numbers. This is where a lot of deals get shaky because the conversation becomes concrete. Trade value, down payment, monthly payment, term, rate, and overall structure all come into focus. The mistake many salespeople make here is acting like this is just a price presentation. It's not. It's an education moment. You're reviewing the financial offer and helping the customer understand what they are looking at and what to expect from the contract. You're connecting the structure of the deal to the information gathered earlier. If the customer has a trade, they need to understand how that value impacts the deal. If they're putting money down, they should understand the effect on the monthly payment. If they had a target range in mind, you need to address how close the structure comes to it and why. The worst thing a salesperson can do here is slide a worksheet across the desk and go silent. That's when customers feel hit with price shock and mentally retreat. The best salespeople stay calm, explain clearly, and maintain control of the conversation. The eighth step is negotiation and closing, and this is where emotional discipline matters. Negotiation is not supposed to be combat. The goal is not to out-muscle the customer, grind over every penny, or get dragged into a pointless back and forth over minor details. The real objective is to listen, understand what matters most, and help the customer secure the right car in a way that feels good to them. Sometimes a customer raises an objection because the payment is a stretch. Sometimes they're fixated on price because they don't yet see enough value. Sometimes they start comparing your deal to another store because they need reassurance that they are making the right decision. Strong salespeople don't get defensive here. They don't turn every objection into an argument. They listen, isolate the real issue, address it, and guide the conversation back to the value of the vehicle and the fit for the customer. I've seen salespeople lose profitable deals because they got emotionally caught up in winning the negotiation. And I've seen salespeople close deals gracefully because they stayed focused on helping the customer rather than fighting the customer. Big difference. The ninth step is finance and insurance. Once the vehicle and structure are agreed upon, the customer transitions to F&I to finalize title and registration and review protection options, products, and accessories. This step is often misunderstood by customers, so how you set it up matters. If F&I feels like a surprise ambush, trust can erode. But if it is framed properly as part of completing the transaction and protecting the ownership experience, it becomes a natural continuation of the deal. This is where products like service contracts, gap, tire and wheel, and other protections may be offered, depending on the vehicle and customer needs. The key is that the transition should feel smooth, professional, and expected. Customers should understand that this is part of finalizing the purchase. not some strange extra process being dropped on them at the last minute. The 10th step is delivery, and this is where the dealership either reinforces the customer's confidence or weakens it. Delivery should never feel rushed. It is the final presentation of the vehicle in detailed, fully serviced condition, and it should leave the customer feeling satisfied, informed, and excited. Every question should be answered before they drive off. They should understand the major controls, key features, and anything else necessary for a comfortable ownership experience. This is your chance to confirm they made the right choice. A weak delivery feels like a handoff. A strong delivery feels like a moment. The customer sees the car clean, prepared, and ready. They get their questions answered. They feel taken care of. That emotional finish matters more than many salespeople realize because it shapes the memory of the purchase. And then there is the vital bonus step, the follow-up. The process does not end at delivery. In a lot of ways, this is where the long-term value of the deal begins. Following up with every customer helps secure reviews, referrals, repeat business, and future service retention. It also gives you a chance to solve any early concerns before they become bigger problems. A simple call, text, or email after delivery can make the customer feel remembered rather than forgotten. This is also where a salesperson starts building a real book of business instead of living one deal at a time. The average salesperson is always hunting for the next up. The professional salesperson builds relationships that continue paying off months and years later. When you step back and look at this framework, what stands out is that every step connects to the next. The meet and greet lowers resistance. Initial discovery uncovers needs. The walk around personalizes the vehicle. The test drive creates emotional ownership. Post-test drive discovery bridges excitement with financial reality. Service introduction builds confidence in the dealership. The numbers clarify the offer. Negotiation and closing move the customer toward commitment. Finance and insurance complete the transaction properly. Delivery reinforces the decision. Follow-up extends the relationship. This is not random. This is a road to the sale. And the salespeople who consistently perform at a high level usually are not the ones relying on gimmicks, pressure, or slick one-liners. They are the ones who understand process, execute it consistently, and know how to make the customer feel guided every step of the way. That is what modern selling looks like, and that is how more deals get done.
This is the 10 steps to the sale roadmap. Follow the process, close more deals, click the link, and download it today.